Hey, Tim, this is Billy Dean.
Hey, it's Billy. What's up, my friend? How's it going tonight? Thanks for calling.
I got through. It's going all right. How about you?
Yeah, thanks, dude. Yeah, I guess a lot of callers are trying to get in because I asked them to, and we are very new to the game. Only one caller at a time, I guess. But
Makes sense.
I appreciate you calling in because I actually really wanted to get you on this. You're somebody that I kind of started doing comedy with, I think at the same time. Like, when did you start comedy, if you don't mind sharing?
I want to say 2012, early 2013.
Oh, yeah, same here. Late 2012. So, yeah, I think we're in the same comedy class.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And since I've met you, you've gone through this, you've become more politically active. And I think that's really relevant to this show because comedy is becoming kind of overwhelmed by, I think, a political, not agenda, but just more politically minded. So what do you think about that?
I think it makes sense, but I think the country overall is doing the same exact thing.
Absolutely.
Like, if you look at surveys on people willing to marry people who don't agree with them politically, that's been going down dramatically over the last 40 years.
Oh yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, people are making it their the way they seek out just spouses on their dating profiles. I'm not even going to date you if you're not on the same party or whatever as me. And people are very specific too. They get more specific than that even. They're like, "Oh, you're not good on this issue, then fuck off." What? Yeah.
Yeah, you're not anarcho-syndicalist. I don't have time for you.
That sounds like a fancy term. Very specific.
It's a term, yeah.
So anyway, and you, I guess I wanted to have you on the show because you seem like you have things to talk about, kind of. Like you went through something recently where you got, I don't know if you want me to say this, you got fired from your job.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I got fired for trying to unionize my company, and they retaliated and fired the guy who was the head organizer on it, which makes sense. That's how they do it.
The head organizer. So someone above you.
Well, the guy who started it. Not that I was good at it, but I was the guy who definitely initiated.
Okay, so you initiated the idea, but someone else was fired above you. Can you explain it?
No. I was initiated. I was considered the lead on it.
Okay.
But another guy was better at it, so I don't want to take full credit.
Gotcha. So, and then you had to deal with so you kind of got press for it because it's a kind of a weird, because they technically broke the law and you called them out.
Yeah, they broke the law, and my boss was governor.
And your boss was...
Or is governor now.
So was this in the sense that he owned the company? He was your boss, or was you were directly under him?
No, he owned the company, so we weren't directly talking to him, but
Right.
He was the one making all the money. We weren't.
The Pritzker, yeah, Pritzker. He owns this company that you worked for, and he was the one who nixed the union idea.
He didn't directly fight it himself, but he didn't do anything to stop it. They spent 6 figures hiring a firm that specializes specifically in shutting down stuff like that, rather than paying probably 2 figures or maybe 4 or 5 figures to actually give us what we were asking for.
You said 2 figures at first.
Well, at first, because I don't know exactly how the math would have come out because we never got the contracts, but the whole thing was we basically wanted less hours because we were working 16-hour days with no breaks.
Really?
We just kind of wanted to be hey, yeah, just give us back to 10. We're good.
Yeah, seems pretty legitimate of a concern. So they said no to that.
Against the law technically, but we're classified as seasonal, so they can get away with shit like that.
So is it against the law then, or you said it was seasonal so they could get away with it? Does that mean it's
seasonal, so it's slightly outside of that, but if it was a traditional job, it would violate the 7 days arrest law according to Illinois state law.
Right. So so this was a couple months ago, and you've obviously moved on since then, but are you still trying to get anything from it? Like, did you feel like vindicated?
Well, a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to go too in depth into it, but some of the people that were part of it are disappointed in the results now.
Okay, so other than that, people just are disappointed. Nothing else really happened. Did anyone else have to face any repercussions?
There were the other people that were in my class, the other docents, they did get fired as well. So It wasn't just me. It's anyone who had the option to vote for the union, they just kind of cleaned house, which again is wildly illegal.
Right. So even after all this and basically the negative press came out, nobody who actually did the firing or manages the company faced any negative consequences.
Nope, negative consequences at all. Though we did temporarily crash their review website when the story came out about my firing, when a bunch of people on the internet left negative reviews.
Right. So it was basically just this negative press story, which was probably not as damaging as it could have been. But it's still probably somewhat
not
damaging.
As damaging as we thought it would be. But it was still damaging. A lot of people definitely chose not to go on it.
Okay, that's interesting. That's good. I mean, I don't know if it's good. It's just that's what happens it's the least that could happen is the bad press. It's kind of, I think it's somewhat good that they got exposed. And it feels... Yeah. So do you feel like, are you still bitter about it at all? I'm sure you're a little bit, maybe. All right.
Well, I'm not going to talk about any sort of ongoing case.
Fair enough.
I'm still going at it a little bit. But, yeah, I'm not bitter about it because I suspected they were going to do this illegal shit. That's why I kind of made myself the lightning rod in the case. If anyone's going to get fired, I wanted it to be me. I'm just kind of upset that they fired other people, too.
Did it help your comedy career at all?
No, I have one half-decent bit about it. It's really disappointing. I've got nothing good about getting fired by the governor of Illinois. Not funny at all.
Oh, really? Zero good lines? No material even?
I've got maybe 40 seconds that are all right and nothing beyond that, and it's super disappointing to me as a comic.
Shit. All right, switching gears. I think I saw you celebrating the recent death of the Koch brother, the Koch guy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right. So you want to talk a little bit about that?
About David Koch's death?
Just about how basically there's this fierceness rising on some part of the political spectrum where people are very anti-billionaire. They're anti-wealth. They want to redistribute the wealth. Like, what do you think? Like, is that accurate to say?
For me at least, that definitely applies.
Mm-hmm. I don't know much about him. I just know he was extremely wealthy and hoarding a lot of wealth. I assume that's part of...
No, that's not the issue that I have with him at all. If you just want to, be you made a lot of money, you're born rich, whatever, do that. He tried to change the world and was successful. He, Prop 105 in Phoenix, Arizona. I think it's Phoenix. It's in Arizona somewhere. Is trying to kill a light rail project, which would help fight climate change, but he put a shit ton of money into it, and they're probably going to lose on that. The right side will probably lose on that. And he's been doing that for decades. He's been killing public transit projects to make more people have to pay a private tax to buy cars so he can make some money off of all his fossil fuels. So the world dies quicker, but he dies richer.
Well, that's reasonable to not like that, yeah. Just making people...
That's my take on it.
Yeah.
If you just have a lot of money, whatever.
That's reasonable. And also, he was also super anti-climate change, I think.
He was anti-everything good. He was just born rich, and he kind of fought on every positive issue. He fought on the wrong side of it. And he had billions of dollars, so he won most of those cases.
Would you say he's done anything good in his whole life? Maybe.
Not that I'm aware of. Maybe.
Gotcha. Yeah, maybe. Who knows?
But I'm not aware of any of the positive things he's contributed. I would guess not at all.
Gotcha.
But he did die very rich.
Mm-hmm. So you're totally cool with rich people achieving wealth. It's just how they spend their wealth, and also you're just against the agenda. It sounds like.
Honestly, just to be fair, I would be against the concept of billionaires altogether. Millionaires,
okay.
I'm totally fine with.
That's kind of what I was wondering.
Billionaires,
Okay.
billionaires, once you get to that level, like just as a way to frame it, 1 million seconds ago was 11.2 days ago. So like last week.
Right.
A billion seconds ago was 32 years ago. So I'm a little bit over a billion seconds old. That's like a huge difference. Billionaire and millionaire are not even in the same category.
It's pretty nuts. Yeah. Fair enough. That's what I was wondering. If
so maybe they should exist, but there should be a higher tax bracket for them specifically.
Okay.
So like people making over $250,000 a year should not be paying the same exact rate as a billionaire.
Right. What do you think of the ones like Bill Gates and Warren Buffett who pledged to give away like 90% of their wealth or whatever?
What's really crazy about that, and honestly, you should look into this. It's really upsetting once you actually get into it.
Okay.
They've been giving away the same amount of money they've been giving away half their wealth for almost half a century at this point. So why the fuck are they richer than they've ever been? Also, I'm sorry, is it okay for me to swear on this?
Absolutely, dude.
Yeah, so they're literally richer than they've ever been, but they keep giving away their money, but they have more money than they've ever been because what they're giving their money away to is things that benefit them. Like Bill Gates is giving away his money to fund education initiatives, like charter schools, but that's Microsoft territory, so he's making that money back immediately and then some. He's investing in himself, but he hired enough PR that people think that he's great.
Okay.
He's not. Warren Buffett's a little bit better. Bill Gates, awful.
Oh, really? You don't, so he's one of the people you would label as an evil billionaire.
Yes, but no one is ever going to agree with me on that because he's hired so much PR. But if you look,
oh, really?
Like, you know how he gives all his money away to Africa? Look into who actually gets that money. It is billionaires like him in the Western world. He's not giving that money away. He's giving it to his buddies to make more money for himself. He has never... He's richer than he's ever been in his entire life. There's a reason for that.
So you kind of have done a deep dive on him, and you kind of think all his initiatives are just kind of virtue signaling him to make him look good.
It's
but
PR.
Interesting. I've never heard that.
If someone actually looked at did what he claims to be doing, awesome. More power to you. Make the world better, no matter how you want to do it. If you're poor, you're rich, cool, good on you. But what he's doing is positive PR.
Wow. Yeah, it's very interesting. So obviously, I would because people used to think he was the greedy one, and they thought Steve Jobs was the more liberal one. But turns out now,
then that kind of flipped.
People love Bill Gates and hate shit on Steve Jobs. Not like I assume you think Steve Jobs also kind of a douchebag or something. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you like Apple products?
Just because of the sweaters. It was only the sweaters. That's the only issue I had with them.
Here's my last train of thought that I'm going to push or whatever, run by you. What do you think of just corporatism? What about just consuming these corporate, obviously you have a phone. Where's the line with that? In terms of corporations you pay or consume?
Well, obviously you have to. If you want to live in the world, you kind of have to have a cell phone. So living in that society doesn't mean you're endorsing that. You can still kind of push for positive change in that direction.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
But I don't think, even the cell phone, right now I'm using a Google Pixel 3, which is good. I like it. But that actually has nothing to do with corporatism. I know it sounds weird and it's totally counterintuitive to everything we think. But the first cell phone was invented in the 1960s in the Soviet Union, and it wasn't a for-profit thing.
Right.
So that obviously still exists even in societies where it's not make as much money as you possibly can and screw over the working class.
Right. I mean, it's a necessity at this point. You kind of have to have one.
It is. Absolutely. And that's there's a lot of non-government organizations that are trying to push so everyone could have a cell phone. Because if you're going to try and get a job interview, you need a cell phone. If you don't have a cell phone, you don't get a job interview. You don't have a job, you can't afford a cell phone. It's a terrible cycle.
Okay.
A vicious cycle. That's the word I was looking for.
Gotcha. Do you try to go for the most grassroots, the most, when you do buy anything, let's say it's clothing or food, do you try to get it from the most local, the most non-corporate source?
Well, I mean, it's still corporate, but grocery store-wise, I go to Aldi as much as I can because they're they pay their employers well.
Nice.
They don't charge as much as any other place around them by a factor of 3.
Shout out to Aldi's.
Aldi's is great. And they pay $16 an hour to start, something crazy like that.
Awesome.
So I'm going to back them as long as I can. And there's a cell phone company. It's I want to say it's in the South. It's black-owned specifically, but I didn't find out about that until after I bought this phone. So my next one will probably be much more local.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sounds.
But again, it's hard to get off because,
the Pixel?
T-Mobile, Verizon, and everything are going to keep using stuff like this. So we're just kind of in a weird situation where we don't really have that option. We don't really have that freedom because there's enough large corporations that have the power that you can't really do much about it.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, of course, we live in a capitalistic world where there's, we can't just, we have to accept it on some level that we're living in that world, even if we don't like it.
Yeah, there's nothing you can really do about it unless, you lead a revolution or something.
Right.
And most of us don't do that.
I think that's a good place to wrap it up for the first time talking. That was a really interesting. I could probably talk to you for a lot. I would like to have you back on the show. But a couple of other people are trying to call in, so I guess this is a good place to let you go.
Yeah, no problem. Let me know whenever. I'll even come into the studio because why not?
Hell yeah.
I live around here and I got a lot of free time since I got fired.